Good morning. I want to talk today about healthcare and where it might be going throughout the world, but particularly in North America where I live. And currently, I don't receive medical care in this sense in a traditional way. I want to say that. I do pretty much everything based upon my own instincts at this point and have been for a while. And why might have this occurred? Well, I can just say that from a very early age, I've had medical issues. And every time I go to the doctor, something more happens to me in terms of the degradation of my body. And so at some point in my, I want to say around 2008, when now I'm being told I have lymphoma, that I'm losing faith in every way in the system itself, and for reasons that are kind of interesting and complicated, because they'll say things to you in the office, like when you go in for a consultation for cancer or whatever, and they kind of whitewash what you're going through in a way and say things to you that are at best questionable and probably not even true. And so I started to feel like it's not that they lie to you. It's not that. It's that their lack of understanding leads to lack of understanding. And so I started really investigating at some point along the way what was bothering me in a sense. So I have a story to share with you that's rather beautiful, and I've been thinking a lot about it. So still have a property where we had acreage and horses and a garden, a barn, stalls, the whole thing. And not a fancy setup. I don't want to make it sound like, we're just rolling in the dough, because that would not be true. But we had this really nice little, shall I say, hobby farm. That would be the best way to describe it. And I had this garden, and I would carry the horses' manure in buckets on my south-facing slope that I etched into the side of the hill that I lived on, into a terraced garden. And I used logs and different things to manage my garden, so that it would be a really nice south-facing garden, and it was a beautiful little garden. And one day, I noticed this red-tailed hawk that was sitting maybe 100 feet from me. He wasn't that close, but he was close enough. And he was just sitting there, and he never moved. He watched me for the entire time I was cleaning up after my horses. Now, what makes this story rather interesting is, why was this hawk sitting there? And I remember going to a friend of mine who is Indian and asking her, and she said, that's a good question. That's something I don't know, but I would ask maybe a native leader for that question. So at any rate, or an Indian leader. So at any rate, the hawk, after this incident, began flying over my house. And of course, I'm being diagnosed with lymphoma. I'm scared. I'm tired of being sick. I've had surgery. And the one time that I had chemotherapy, when I was in my 20s now, I didn't do well at all. I had to be hospitalized for a week from one level 2 treatment, and it was bad. And so I concluded a long time ago that whatever it is they're trying to do to me, I'm allergic to it, or in some way in danger when they do it. So when I realized this time in 2008, now that I'm really kind of traveling into uncomfortable waters, that going to the doctor isn't going to work for me. Something's wrong with this picture. And in the meantime, this red-tailed hawk. Well, I later learned that a red-tailed hawk is symbolic for a medicine woman. It's symbolic for something beautiful of the mind, of the air, of the intellect is getting ready to happen. And this red-tailed hawk would fly over my house daily and caw and talk to me. And this went on for a few years. One day, quite sadly, my neighbor shot this red-tailed hawk. I have no idea why. And if he'd have been caught, he would have been in trouble with the law. But at any rate, he's long past now, so not really, it's neither here nor there. But what I'm kind of coming to is that why am I an astrologer? Why have I gone to the great lengths of educating myself in such a mess that I'm in physically? I'll tell you why. Because I'm my own doctor in this sense. I'm treating myself. My co-reader is treating herself. You cannot possibly understand how hard it is for a person who's ill to go to the doctor and to get told, oh, I didn't see this, and I didn't see that in your blood, I didn't see this, I didn't see that, and you know something's wrong. And time after time after time, they tell you that they're not going to see anything. And when I learned that I can do horary astrology, and the minute I hand over my urine, my sample, that I can take that time and create what's called an event, and I can look at that and I can have clarity what's wrong with me. That's horary astrology. It's powerful. The herbs, the earth-based tools that we have, again, very powerful. This red-tailed hawk was there telling me all along what I needed to know right here, right now, today. And so I want people to understand when they look at nature and they feel superior to nature in some ways, like I'm a human, you're a bird. Those birds are probably superior to you. And they're providing you with information if you choose to hear them. And so I have a new deck here, Spirit of Herbs. And so I am just going to pull a card. It's a Spirit of Herbs Tarot. And I'm just going to ask Spirit for the general, for just a general energy reading on, are we in North America moving away from medical as we've known it in the past? Yep, 5 of Cups. It's there's too many spilt cups. Too many things have gone wrong, and the tree isn't producing any green. There's too much wrong with the way it's been set up and done. And I feel bad for doctors who have invested their lives and hundreds of thousands of dollars in their education to only learn that maybe they've been really misled. And, you know, I hope that, you know, those who want to can do what they can for themselves in their career, because I'm not sure that medicine is going to continue as we know it, because a 5 of Cups is like saying it, you know, it's kind of relationship wise, it's a lot of spilt blood, and we're not going to necessarily easily believe anymore the river of blood that we've been seeing. We're not going to believe them anymore because, well, quite frankly, we can't. So in the future, and this is a horsetail, and horsetail is a great herb for when you get sick, or I use horsetail myself for my issues. So, you know, I can only advise you what I do. I can't tell you what you should do, because I would get into trouble for that, because they're going to watch me for this, and you bet they are. They want me to make mistakes so they can shut me down. So and that's rather sad, because we need the help. And so with that, please do consider booking a reading. Get yourself a health forecast, $50, not that much. In addition to that, past life readings, $100. These are audio readings, dream interpretation, $25. Check with us if you have a need, horary, a question. See what we have available. It's not going to hurt to ask, and if it meets your needs, then that's wonderful for you, and that's also wonderful for us, because we are trying to pay for our expensive educations, both Farnoosh and I. And with that, thank you so much for joining me here. Please do hit like, share, and subscribe, and join me on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.